Hey, my name's Chris. This is Gaia. Scarlet Macaw, very young. Okay, not very young. A few years old. There's a question asked to me by somebody who had adopted another Scarlet Macaw from me a while back, and here you go. And the question was about feather plucking and what to do to prevent it, why it happens, and what to do about it, how to properly maintain and take care and keep them from doing it, let the feathers come back in. Will they come back in? And yes, they will. And basically, I'm just going to try to cover as much of that information as I can as quickly as possible. There are a few basic reasons why a parrot, or any bird for that matter, would pluck. And the reason, I'll start with macaws first. Macaws, any reasons why they would are primarily stress factors. In captivity, it's a lot more of a concern than people that have outdoor aviaries or zoos and things like that. Primarily with macaws, it's they bond very well with humans that care for them. You know, if you spend a lot of time with your macaw, there you go. They're going to fall in love with you, and they're going to care if anything happens to you or if you get rid of the bird. That's one reason why a bird might do that. If you've recently had a bird that was rehomed and you haven't gone through a proper home visit process where you come back and visit the bird frequently and kind of wean them onto another caretaker, that could become an issue, and you got to be careful with that. Another reason would be caging. I don't believe in caging. I made that mistake once when I was younger, and I'll never, ever, ever cage another animal ever again, unless it's part of a training process. And training process where you would have to apply a cage would be if the bird was cage bound or extremely dependent on its own cage for whatever reason. There are ways of, again, weaning them out of the cage. As part of a rehabilitation process, and with birds that are plucking, there's always a way to help animals to get better. Particularly with macaws, there are a few other reasons beyond caging and losing people, is losing a mate or losing another bird that they're close to. I've seen birds bond with all kinds of different animals, not just macaws or people, but dogs and cats and just random animals. It's really, really neat, you know. But with these guys, there's a few other reasons. I don't even like talking about it. I hate to even think about it ever happening, but it's with one bird that I kind of rescued, bought out of a situation, basically. His rehabilitation process was quite simple. One was he was caged his entire life and used as a breeder. I didn't put him in a cage, and I spent a lot of time with him. My family also spent a lot of time with him. We didn't give him any time to be on his own to actually even consider it. And so, with that being said, that's step number one for rehabilitating a bird, is to spend as much time as humanly possible with the animal that you're trying to rehabilitate. There's no such thing as spending too much time with a macaw. The reason why I say that is because they'll let you know when you spent too much time, because they'll either fly back to their area or they'll go to sleep on you. So now, as far as different breeds, it's pretty much the same basic reasoning. Like if they lose someone, they lose a mate or an owner or a caretaker or another animal that they're close to or used to. If they're housed improperly, if their diet is improper, if they have any kinds of mites, or if there's pesticides or chemicals or fumes that could be irritating the bird's skin in any way in the household. Those are things to consider, and that should be evaluated in any given situation or any scenario that involves plucking of any bird or avian species. Cockatoos. Cockatoos are a little bit different. Their feathers are a little bit more dependent on a powder that they excrete and for kind of self-maintenance of their feathers. You can research that a little bit. Go to wikipedia.com, check that out. Here you go. Chew on that, not my shirt, okay? One thing you'll notice about these guys is if you have any shirts with buttons, consider your buttons gone. or have a good seamstress you can go to sew your buttons back on for you once a week or day. Anyway, so it's quite a sad topic to even have to discuss, but it's a really good question, and basically the way that I answered it to the person that was taking care of the new macaw is I said, just please spend as much time as you possibly can with the bird and try to mentally stimulate him as much as you can, which is basically using treats, rewarding good behavior, handling the bird, allowing other people as often as possible to handle the bird, and it's just basically socializing the animal. Now, in other situations where the bird might be plucked by another bird, or plucking himself because of loss of another bird, or just in a poor environment, there are a few other variables to consider. And if you haven't done any more research other than watching this video, you can contact me. I can send you links to informational websites, or even try to help you as much as I can with the situation. Anyway, any bird that's doing that can be rehabilitated, and I strongly recommend against going to, all right, I'm not recommending you not taking a bird to an avian vet, but I will recommend against listening to an avian vet who is going to say, put one of those fan neck things around them. You know, they're like the things that keep dogs from scratching or whatever. I've seen people do that to birds, and it's just a stress that they could do without. And basically, it's don't take on a bird if you don't have the proper amount of time to apply to the bird's life. They are, you know, some people would say, well, they're demanding, or does it take a lot to take care of them? And a good answer to that is you probably shouldn't have a bird if you have to ask that. You got to know that you've got the time and be willing to spend the time necessary to properly care for the bird, and in addition to caring for the bird, stimulating, I use that term constantly, is mentally stimulating the bird. And to properly mentally stimulate the bird is going through training processes and basically everything else that I've said in the video. That covers just about everything. Smaller birds are a little bit more complex because most people with smaller birds tend to cage them. And I don't know if you can see, but I've got two canaries that are over there by the window, and I set up a little area where I put plastic at the bottom of the window for them to poop on. Put a little food and water there and two perches where they stay at the window, and whenever they want to fly around and exercise, they just fly around and do whatever. Most people say, well, don't they crap on all your stuff? And no, they really don't. They stay in their area. They've got basically one place to perch, and they choose not to perch anywhere else in the room because nowhere else is a view for the outside. So I consider this still a sad event because it's not the outside, but it's better than a cage. You know, I mean, I hate to say it like that, but I strongly, firmly believe against caging a bird. Here, chew on that, not my skin, okay? So anyway, next best thing, one thing you'll probably know if you have a bird that's capable of flight, you'll never see that bird ever pluck. Reason being is he's got the ability of flight. So step, come on. So as you can see, I let mine fly as often as they want to. It makes them happier. And the better environments you have them in, the better everything's going to be. I mean, for all I know, they probably live longer. You know, there's more information on another video that tells and explains their life expectancy, and they live in an amazing amount of years. So if you ever purchase one of these guys, you want to make sure you have somebody that you can leave them to in the event of your death, because they will outlive you. So anyway, they're great, wonderful companions. They're beautiful, elegant, phenomenal creatures, and I hope to help you in any way that I possibly can to properly rehabilitate or rehome or adopt one yourself. Good luck, and I hope you have a good day.